Hello everybody, this is Shannon with Beads and Babble, and this is going to be part one of a series devoted to beach-friendly jewelry. With summer just around the corner, I thought it would be a good time to highlight this sort of jewelry. Today I will go over the materials that we'll be using. I'm probably going to use a little bit of painter's tape, possibly. We're going to need a pair of chain nose, flat nose, or two bent nose just for opening and closing jump rings and chain. A pair of sharp shears for cutting the cord. I'm going to also be using a thread burner, a pair of knotting number 5 knotting tweezers. I always call them pliers, but they have knotting pliers and tweezers. Do the same thing. I am going to use a variety of beads, some 8/0 check glass seed beads, some 4/0 Picasso striped seed beads, also some faceted, I believe these are 5x7 fire polished rondelles. I'm going to use some S-Lon cord. This is regular S-Lon cord, and I will bring in a chart to show you the difference between all the cords because they have several different sizes of this particular cord and a gazillion colors. And then I'm going to use some metal beads, some antique finished metal beads, some cubes, and some daisy spacers. I also have a little shamrock charm because, well, St. Patrick's Day is tomorrow, and it's also a special day for us because we get to find out where my youngest son is going to be doing his residency tomorrow. So that's really exciting. I'm going to use a lobster claw and an inch length of chain, and it can be any chain you choose as long as the chain will fit, the lobster claw will fit through the chain for linking, because this is going to be an extender chain. And what we're going to be making is beach anklets, or just an anklet in general. This is a tried and true piece of jewelry for me. I have made many of these for people, loved ones and friends, and they have lasted. I actually made one for a really good friend of mine, daughter, and she wore it every day for 3 years, and it finally gave out. The string finally gave out, and I restrung it for her because she loved it so much. And I just actually shipped that to her a few weeks ago. But these hold really nicely. Like I said, they take on a lot of wear. She never took it off, and that means through showering, because she's a young 20-something-year-old, and she lives in Southern California, and she wore it to the beach and on her daily things, and she loved it. So I'm going to show you how I make this, and I'll also go over kind of standard sizes for anklets and stuff. I also made these here. All were made with S-Lon cord or C-Lon cord. Same cord, just different brand name. And I made this one, and this one with the regular S-Lon cord. And then this one was made with micro cord. And it's same cord, different thickness. So I'll set these over to the side, and then I'm going to bring in a chart here. Now this chart goes over, it's a very basic chart for anklets. So anklets, just like any other piece of jewelry, if you have the exact measurement, that's best. But if you have to do an estimate, here are they. So for a small, this is in inches, between 8 and 9 inches. A medium, between 9 and 10. And most people will fit into this medium category. A large is 11 to 12, and then an extra large is 12 plus. That in a little closer so you can get the measurements. And then this is a chart I just printed off of Google. It didn't actually have anybody I could mention on it. I think this might be a manufacturer chart, but this is the chart. So the Eslon regular cord is what they call the 210, and then the or the Tex 210, and then the heavy is the Tex 400. And then it kind of gives you an idea of what seed beads will fit on it, because it's 0.5 millimeters thick. The heavy is 0.9 millimeters thick. The Tex 135 is 0.4 millimeters thick. And then the micro is 0.12 millimeters thick. And these are all the actual reference as to what size for the manufacturer. And then this is the diameter of the woven cord, because it is, I believe, 4 cords of twisted nylon cording. So it will unravel. That's why the thread burner is really nice. Or if you have some clear nail polish, you can kind of dab it on there. I usually cut mine at an angle when I'm stringing beads. Helps a lot get through them. But this is a very nice cord, a very durable cord, and it comes, like I said, in a gazillion colors. So you can pretty much pick whatever color you want for whatever theme of design you're going for. I'm doing green for St. Patrick's Day for this particular anklet. And they also do have thread in AA and D. So if you are a loomer or a weaver, they do offer it in those sizes as well. So I'll move my hands so you can get a good look at the chart here for the Eslon cord. And then also you can use the heavier one for macrame as well, which you could use it by itself for macrame bracelets. And you'll see me use this cord a lot. I really like it. There's other options like tough cord, wax linen cord. You could also use that. I like it for certain applications, but wax linen cord to me is a little, I know it's sticky for a reason, but it's a little sticky and it gathers, I don't know, debris and stuff fairly easy. So I'm going to set that now to the side. So I'm going to grab the standard or the regular Eslon cord, which is the Tex 210. I'm going to cut 3 feet of it. It's probably going to be more than enough, but I always find that I want more than less, because we're going to be using some knotting techniques here. So knotting takes up cord length. So it's always good to have a little more than needed rather than running out. So now with some of these designs, I will show you here. Now with this design, I used 8/0 seed beads to make the loop where I attached the lobster claw. This one I did not. I just strictly attached it to the cord. And then here I used 10/0 seed beads to make the loop. Either way, if you want a more plain bracelet, no beads, then you can just use the cord. So what I'm doing is getting roughly the cord folded in half here. And then I'm going to go ahead and string on the lobster clasp directly onto the cord. And just bring that down to the middle. And then I'm going to string on 3 8/0 seed beads on one cord and 3 on the other. What is nice about this cord is it does accommodate up to 11/0 seed beads. So 11, 10, 8, 6/0 and above, so it'll accommodate for those. So I just bring it down. So we have 3 8/0 seed beads on either side of the lobster claw. And then I'm just going to tie an overhand knot. And I'm going to bring in my knotting tweezers here so I can hold the beads down and bring that knot in close. Beads down, bring in the cording. And then I'm going to split the cording and kind of tighten that knot and center it by pulling on each cord. So now you have your little loop with your lobster claw. All right. Now you can, there is really honestly no rhyme or reason to, when you're making these bracelets, open this one up so I can kind of show you the length of it here. Now, I did a couple of the loops. I did a loop, then I tied the knot, and then I did a 6/0 here in the middle, and then I did another loop. And you can either thread the bead on both the cords, or you can split it to make a different design. And this one, I believe I made roughly 10 inches, and I just attached a closed jump ring at the end here, and you could attach a extension chain onto this as well to give it more flexibility and size. And then on this one here, it was very simple. I just did a series of 6/0 seed beads and some metal beads and then some knotting in between. That's all that is to get the length. And these are a little bit smaller because I'm making ones for my granddaughters too. They're each going to get an anklet because summer's coming and they really like their anklets. And then I'm going to touch on what beads are not so good and what beads are good for using for anklets, because let's face it, most people are not going to be taking off their anklets when they go swimming and stuff, and they want to wear them on the beach because they're pretty. So I would suggest if you are going to use metal beads, use an antique finish because they're going to patina. They're going to get tarnished. Patina is just a nice way of saying tarnished. So if you do a bead that's already tarnished or antiqued, then you don't have that difference. And when they see a bright colored bead, metal bead on there, and then they're like, why is it black now? So it won't disturb the aesthetics of your design, your color palette. Another finish to stay away from is anything metallic finished on seed beads, or anything that has a fancy AB finish. Picasso's fine. Picasso is a permanent finish. Any dyed seed beads, any coated seed beads, because they are not going to withstand. Even the Tierra Color Fast seed beads, they're made for clothing, the clothing industry, for washing and stuff, but they're not necessarily, they're not going to withstand like salty ocean water, lotions, all that kind of stuff. They're going to have some adverse effects. So my suggestion is to stay away from anything that's coated, but any of the opaque seed beads, which are a color through, when I say through color bead, is their solid color all the way through. And that would be most of the opaques. If they say opaques and they don't specify that they're dyed or coated, they're going to be fine to use. But I just kind of wanted to touch on that because there's been many a times where they're like, I bought these metallic seed beads and now they're white or they're clear. Well, that's the base bead. They've used a clear base bead and coated it with the metallic coating, which is not a permanent finish. It will wear off no matter what you do. There are ways to preserve it so it lasts longer, but it's eventually always going to disappear. So that is my take on that. But as I said, you could use gemstone beads depending on the gemstone. Like I wouldn't per se use turquoise or something that's soft, or any of the softer gemstones. You could probably Google and say, look for gemstones that are safe for, water and stuff, to be, or ocean, salt water or whatever. Crystals would be fine. As long as they don't have a fancy finish. If it's just the plain finish, then you'll be fine. Also, freshwater pearls would be fine. to use as well. And just remember that they have a smaller hole, so you will have to probably go to the micro. Let's see, the micro is, yes, point. You could probably do micro and possibly fine sea lion cord. Just test the cord in the holes of the pearl, because that's what you always are limited by, is the size of the bead hole when you're stringing. So, alrighty, so that's kind of why I wanted to touch on that before I got too far. And also keep in mind sharp edges on beads, because some of the gemstones have sharp edges and stuff. So you'll want to make sure that you're stringing beads that are relatively smooth and refined, because this is cord, and with the excessive wear, it will cause the breakage. Alrighty, so I'm going to string on now a metal cube bead, which has a very nice hole size that I can get both cords through, just like that. And then I'm going to tie a knot, just an overhand. This is just overhand knots, nothing fancy, just an overhand knot. And this is basically your simple knotting techniques. And I'm just bringing the knotting tweezers in through the loop and then pulling both cords down against the clasp tweezers here until I get a pretty good snug fit. And then I'm using the tweezers to grab on top of the knot and then push down on it, get it close to the cube bead, and then I'm just separating the two cords and kind of pulling to get it even. You can use your nails and your fingers to get that knot close against the bead. And then we got that going. All right. Then I think I'm going to string a few more of these 8/0 seed beads on here. I'm going to do three. You can also put needle on the S-long cord, like a large eye needle. I'll show you here. Like these, they're twisted wire needle. They're very thin. They have a large hole, and then it collapses as it goes through the beads. But that's also going to add some bulk to the cording. So if your beads have really good sized holes, it'll be fine. It won't be a problem. But the smaller beads, you'll have a problem getting the cord and the needle through it, regardless of how much it collapses. All right. And then I think I'm going to go a daisy spacer. And I usually kind of mirror the cords, so I'm doing them both at the same time. I do 3 more of the 8/0. Now, I did not pre-plan this design. I am flying by the seat of my pants, people. I encourage you guys to do what's comfortable for you. If you like to plan out your design, you can do that totally by laying it out kind of roughly, and then, you know, on a bead mat or whatever, and finding out what you like before you start stringing. I usually kind of go, you know, and if I don't like it, I'll pull it off. But most of the time, I'm pretty, you know, just not a planner in this part of it, especially if I'm just doing it for fun. Now, if I'm doing it for somebody else and they have a specific way they want it done, of course, I'll plan it out with them. But since this is just mostly for me or friends and family or my husband's coworkers, I will just go with the flow here. Mostly this is just St. Patrick's Day inspired anklet for me. And I just kind of picked beads I felt that complemented the color of the S-long cord that I picked, which is kind of a light olive color. I don't remember what the official color is, but it's kind of like a light olive. There's so many colors, and it's just amazing how much they have in the sense of colors. So, and you can definitely add more beads if you want. I just kind of picked out go with both cords this time. And then if you're having trouble passing them through, the beads, you can also try cutting a slant on the end here. But you shouldn't have any problems with, the only time you're going to have a problem with getting both cords through is with smaller hold beads. But this is actually a really nice cord to work with, I have to say. It's one of my favorites, because there's so many options for colors. It knots nicely. It's very strong. Tried and true. I use this cord on most of my knotted jewelry and stuff like that. And it's also very very flexible and stuff. So it's very comfortable when you're wearing it, because it's, I mean, it's not stiff. It's very nice, especially for an anklet when it's on your anklet, on your ankle bone. I mean, let's face it, that's kind of sensitive there. That's a sensitive area. So, and then what I do as I'm stringing, I will bring it down to my ruler, my measurement here, down on my board, and kind of see where I'm at in lengthwise, and then I'll know where I want to go with it. So, and then I'll just keep stringing until I get to the, to the desired length of the anklet that I'm going for. And like I said, I am now just stringing. I'm not knotting in between the beads. You can, if you choose, you want to knot in, between each individual bead, you can do that. I've done that before too. But keep in mind, the more knots you put in the length of the anklet, the more cord you'll need. So keep that in mind as you're stringing too. And another way to take up length in this is to add a gemstone bead as well, or a series of larger beads. But keep in mind that you want it to be comfortable against the ankle, so you don't want ones that are so long that at the bend it's going to poke out, So keep that in mind when you're stringing. So if you're going to be adding a large bead like this, you want to keep it more in a center position. So it has, so when it takes on that circular shape of the ankle, it's going to be comfortable. Otherwise, it's just not going to work for the design, and it's going to be poking or jutting out oddly against the. Sorry, I hit the camera as I'm pulling on the string there. I hope everybody is going to have a great St. Patrick's weekend. I'm hoping that my son gets where he wants to spend his resident time. We're super excited. We found out that he matched already. We just don't know where he matched at, but just matching in general is the part where it's like, oh, you go through all those years of medical school, and then you find out you don't match, and then you have to go through this thing called the scramble, and it's basically unfilled resident positions, and it's almost like a job interview. Ugh, it's awful. Those poor students that have to go through that, it's terrible, and it's terrifying at the same time. It's just all that time and money they've spent on their education, and only to be told that they haven't matched into a program to do their residency, which is required in order to get your licensing and become a physician. So, but as you can see, that is the pattern so far, and I'm already at 3 inches. So I am going to now thread on one of these 8/0 seed beads, and then I'm going to knot. And I like using the smaller beads towards this, or the smaller hold beads, I should say, where I'm going to knot, because it holds, the knot won't slip through. But with 2 cords, you're going to have a fairly sizable knot when you tie it. So that's just an overhand knot. And then my knotting tweezers down, pull it tight. push it down, and then I'm going to separate these two cords and kind of pull, kind of centers it. You don't want to pull too tight. You don't want it to be non-flexible. And that's another thing. The more knots you put in, the more flexible it's going to be, because I can feel already that this portion here that I did not knot is a little more stiffer than this. Let's see. So I try to keep my unknotted sections about an inch or I guess that's probably, it's a little over an inch, like 1.25 inches. So between, just under 1.25 inches or so is good. And I think I'm going to slip on these little cube beads through both. Then this large agate, banded agate bead. Agate's fairly durable too, so you shouldn't have any problems. I'm going to grab a couple larger daisy spacers I have over here to put on each end of this fairly large whole agate bead. Yeah, I always bring down a bunch of beads so on my little side table here, so I can grab them if I need them. Because let's face it, we're always, as we're going, we're always thinking about what we want to add, or if we see something that's like, no, I think I need something else onto there. So I kind of have my options over on my side table. Used to be my ottoman when I first began, but yeah, that's a little bit better. And I'm just going to mirror the other side, and I'll knot. And as you push these beads or the cord through the beads, your cord will fray a little bit. That's another reason why I like to have like another overhand knot. So through, and then I also like to have my beadwork when I'm doing the knots supported by my surface area beneath. So that way I know I'm getting everything nice and tight. Push down. And then now we're at almost 5 inches, which is about perfect for the length I want this bead or this anklet to be. But yes, and you'll get frayed, so that's why it's nice to cut more cord than you need. I mean, this is not it's not the most expensive, but it's also not inexpensive cord either. But I think it's worth to have, more than less, because you're going to waste a whole thing of cord if you cut so short. Then you're going to have to restring, and you're not going to be able to reuse the cord. So I go ahead and when I'm first doing it, I just cut more than I know that I'm going to need in order to do it. And honestly, it's hard to say because each design is going to vary how much cord you're going to need. But on anklets, I'm finding if you're going to do a 9-inch anklet, to a 10 or less, 3 feet, 3 to 4 feet is usually plenty. And then as you're working and you're learning, or you're doing your designs and stuff, you'll start to realize or know how much you need of the cording. So it will become more like second nature. And then I also carry my, I have my jewelry log diaries that I like. If I find a design I really like and I want to repeat it, I make sure to jot down all the materials and the lengths of each that I need, or the counts that I need as I'm doing it. That way then I know that for the next time exactly what I'm going to be using and what I'm going to be needing. So I don't have to guess each time. And what I'm going to do, see, is they're getting a little bit frayed, so I'm going to cut an angle again. You can also use your thread burner to kind of stiffen these up, or use some clear nail polish to kind of stiffen it up. Some people, I think, have used super glue to kind of, there is also a, in the sewing section, a non-fray liquid that you can use as well. I learned actually about that through my mother-in-law when she was still living. She showed me that, and I used that a lot when I was bead weaving and stuff to keep my thread from fraying. Which I don't do that as much. Not that I don't love it. It's just my eyesight has gotten worse as I've aged, and it makes it very difficult. And when you're weaving and you realize halfway through the weaving process you missed a bead, going through a hole of a bead or something, is very frustrating. So I do only do that on very rare occasions. Mostly now I'm stringing or I'm doing my metal work, which I really love too. Matter of fact, I've been getting into the precious metal clay because I got lucky and I got to purchase a kiln, a gently used kiln, and after we moved here, and it's been great. I torch fired, but you're kind of limited to what you can make when you torch fire. So now that I have the kiln, I've been able to make all kinds of stuff, which I love. I made earrings, stud earrings for all my husband's co-workers for Christmas, and they were a huge hit. And then my granddaughters also, I made them some Mickey Mouse stud earrings, and they love those with their initials on them. Matter of fact, my granddaughter Emma, her mom, she's a gymnast, and she went to her competition, and her mom had to take them out. And she goes, "I'm so sorry I lost Emma's Mickey Mouse earrings." She's so upset. And I'm like, "That's okay. I'll make her another pair." She's lucky she has a Nana that can do that. So that's on my to-do list, is to make her another pair of earrings now, alongside the anklets. And once I finish the anklets and everything, I'll just ship them all to them. Hopefully they will be joining us here in Tennessee this summer, or maybe even, it just depends. They have a lot of more getting ready to move than we do, because they have the 3 girls and all kinds of stuff. So to do, but we're very excited to have them here with us again. We're missing our children and well, not that we don't miss our children, but they're grown. But our granddaughters were a huge part of our life in California, and now we're here in Tennessee, and we don't have any family that's here in Tennessee, so yet, at least. And we're hoping that Morgan, which is our youngest son, gets a residency on this side of this coast, the East Coast. I think he applied to one or two places on the West Coast, but his number one pick was Florida, because they have the particular residency he wants. So he actually wants to work with little babies. So they have a program here that's specifically what he's looking for, and so we're hoping that makes him really close to us, so, and his wife. And I think they are going to try for their first baby once he gets settled in, which I'm super excited about, because my youngest granddaughter is going to be 6 next month. So we haven't had a little baby in the Ferguson clan in a while, so I am totally looking forward to that. And as you can see, I'm struggling a little bit because of the frayed ends, but just don't give up. It'll get there. Now I'm going to knot. So I mirrored this side here. And when I'm saying I'm bringing it in through the loop, it's just the overhand knot loop. So I'm coming in through the back side and using the knotting tweezers and grabbing to the top side of the bead, and then pulling both tails of the cord down against the tweezers, and then grabbing the top side of the knot and then pushing down, then opening up, and this will further tighten it down. against. Sorry if I'm jabbering. I hope you guys don't mind as I'm doing this, but I feel it's awkward silence if I don't talk while I'm stringing the beads. I'm just pouring out some more of the 8/0 seed beads that I had chosen for this design. And now I'm just going to mimic the other side. And I'm sure this is going to be another long video. Sorry, people. You can kind of pick and choose through it, you know, fast forward like through this chatty part until you get to the end where the closure comes in. You don't want to listen to me babble about my children, my grandchildren, beads. So, and like I said, I'm just mimicking this last bit here. And then I'll close off this and show you how I do that, which is really, really simple. And I think the best part about this, well, there's a couple really good parts about this actual way to do the anklet, aside from, you know, doing like a soft flex wire, which you can totally do as well. I just find that the cording is very comfortable, like I said, against the anklet, you know, your ankle and stuff like that. So it's really nice in that sense. You don't have any, you know, stiffness, any awkward jutting of the beads. And the durability of this cord is phenomenal. Like I said, I have made these for numerous people, younger people that are very tough on jewelry. And like I said, my really good friend's daughter, she put it through the test for me. Boy, I was so surprised that it lasted as long as it did. Pleasantly surprised. And then, like I said, I restrung it last month, shipped it back to her, so we're going to see how it goes from there. We're almost to the end here. So I'm going to do 3 more of the 8/0 seed beads on one side of the cord, and then 3 on the other side. And then I am also going to string on this extender chain directly onto the cord. It'll go over the beads. And then I'm just going to, well, it'll get close to it. I'm going to do an overhand knot to close it off. I'm not going to cut these off yet because I'm going to make tassels out of them here. So now, as you can see there, I cut a 3 foot length, and I have about 8 inches of cord on each side left. So now I think I'm going to do one. And it doesn't take a lot of beads, as you can see. Another nice project that doesn't take a lot of beads. Now I've strung on what I'm going to leave as the tassel, and I'm going to do an overhand knot once. Then I'm going to come back through with the tail again. So I kind of get that little cute knot like I showed on the leather corded bracelet. It's just a little bit more durable, and it has a little bit bigger of a knot, and it looks nicer. It kind of is a miniature barrel knot. And instead of cutting those, I'm going to use the thread burner because it's going to seal off. It's going to close the ends so they don't fray as well. I'm going to do the same on this one here. String on the same little pattern. You don't have to. You could do different dangles on the ends if you chose to. You can do it the cording different lengths. So I'm going through overhand knot once and then back through again with the tail. And I'm going to lay that down so I can kind of see where I'm going to be at. There we go. And I just walk the knot together. So it's basically lying on top of each other. And I'm going to take the thread burner and burn off this end too. That over. Now I'm going to attach this little charm to the end of the chain. A little shamrock. I thought it was cute. When you're closing, you're not pulling apart, walking it together. And that is our adjustable anklet. Now this one's small because granddaughters, but yes, that is as simple as it gets for an anklet. And you can also put the charm in the middle if you choose, like there, and that is literally pinched, a jump ring pinched between two 6 millimeter fire polished beads, which is another great bead to use for some sparkle, along with crystals if you choose to use them. And then you can also do a centerpiece you're able to connect 2 of the cording ends on either side. And I just used a lark's head knot. So I will, I'm sure if you Google it, you can see that, but it's literally, let me see if I can grab something and I'll show you how to do it real quick. There's the remnants of these cords actually. So a lark's head knot is you're going to fold the cord in half. Then you're going to take the loop and put it through whatever component you're using, and then you're going to take the 2 tails and slide them through and then pull it tight. And then that holds it, and then you can string your beads on either side and close them off like I showed you here. And then you'll have your center element here. So that's what I did with this particular mermaid metal piece here. And this is actually a charm, but I was lucky that I noticed that it closes off there, so that you can totally attach it to both sides. And then these are just some really cute little turtles. And I did this. This is a seahorse bead, and I just went through with both cords. And then, like I said, these are crystals here, and then there's some labradorite, and also intermixed is some fire polish and 10-aught seed beads. And then I just used, and another thing I find that's nice for closing off is split rings, because they're a little bit more durable. If you know the exact size, you can use a split ring instead of, or if you have a closed jump ring, which means it's soldered closed, it does not open or shut, you can use that as well, or some kind of link at the end. And if you want to have some extension or adjustability, you can definitely put the chain on for that. So there is our St. Patrick's inspired, I can get it to sit right here, anklet. You can also not just make anklets, but you can also make bracelets and necklaces using this Eslon cord and these techniques that I showed you here today. So if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments below and I will answer them. I answer all the comments. And if you're enjoying these videos, please hit that like button and subscribe, and you'll get alerted to the new videos that I upload to the channel. So until the next tutorial, which there will be another one that will be featuring beach-friendly jewelry, I will be seeing you.